I'm muted. I muted myself.
Yeah, I just unmuted you now, so you can see it. There's actually a mic on that webcam too, so it's
okay.
It's gonna work for people that don't in the room. Yeah, that sounds good. You want to make that big?
The other mic also?
Yeah, that's when I want to talk. So I already muted everybody else. You wanna? No, leave the mic on.
Well, hold on 1 second. Jesse? Jesse, can you hear?
Yes.
I know Aradna's joining. We're expecting Bastian also. Maybe, would you mind waiting just 5 more minutes and hopefully they join?
5 minutes? Okay.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Yep, no worries.
You reading from the speaker? Once, I'm sorry, I have to. Oh, it's totally okay.
Hey.
Hi, good morning.
Hi.
Hey, how are you?
All right. How about you?
Very well, very well. Thank you. Morning. Good morning.
I just got here. I ran here for the stop. For basketball.
Hi, this is Kevin. Kevin calling.
Morning, Kevin.
Hey, Ashley, how are you doing?
Well, thank you. Well, I think, can someone say my name?
What's on?
Okay.
This isn't the video.
Also,
so-
I guess I'm just gonna have to go like, well, I have to stay hooked up to this.
Okay.
Kevin, we're just waiting for Aradna and hopefully Bastian, and we'll start in maybe 1 or 2 minutes.
Hello, Rodney here.
Yeah, I think I had nice one.
What? I'm so nice.
Oh, thanks, Emily.
Hi, Radna.
Hi, Abby.
Hi, good morning.
So we don't need to connect to the Zoom
Yeah, do we need to
chat, right?
Pardon?
do we need to set as well?
No, because we have the camera here. And
Oh, we can see.
pardon?
We can see you first.
Yeah, I don't, Yummy,
Yeah.
we can't see any of our participants.
That's because we pinned that video.
Oh,
Yeah.
So whenever each one of them, so yeah,
So I should sign it.
yeah. So
Yeah.
you can sign in very little more soon. So that's just for everybody else.
okay. Shall we start?
Yeah. Yes. Let me get the agenda.
Oh, it's okay. I can, let me just, I got it.
Alright.
Okay, good morning, everyone. We'll be quick here so we can get in and out in an hour. I'm not sure if everyone has had a moment to read Structure of Environmental Science Without Borders packet.
Yeah. We have to ask other people on the other hand. You're closer to the mic.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll just run through this briefly. Oh, Yummy, I need to be able to see my agenda.
Okay.
Is this screen share? Oh, well.
No.
Okay. I'm not sure if Bastian is here, but it looks like everyone else is here. Thank you so much for coming this morning. We'll be quick so we can move on with our day. But let's just quickly go over the structure. I will just, if you haven't had, for those who haven't had a moment to read over this. I'll just go over some things briefly. For the peer mentoring and career development, this program is intended to help young scientists become diverse leaders of tomorrow. And for our program, our early career scientists will need both specific and content-oriented peer mentoring and also general advice. This is an opportunity for all participants through virtual platforms to gain general advice, encourage one another, share resources, and collaborate across disciplines. Let's go over just a few expectations that will be throughout this document. But all participants are volunteers, and experiences for all participants. Since this is our first year, we'll build the program up from the ground slowly. But the program is dependent upon volunteers, and we anticipate that more will be added yearly and hopefully monthly. All volunteers are encouraged to recruit other peer mentors so that we can have a program that thrives. Content-based advice, such as editing of grant applications and specific tips or to specialties or disciplines may occur, but also we may have just general career advice that may range from research design to general support or personal support. But this program is intended to reach across all disciplines and will serve students in many fields. That said, the success of this program relies heavily on volunteers' participation, and we're happy to have all of you and your interest in doing this. But to the best of your ability, what we're going to do, we'll have monthly, at the top of the month, maybe the first Wednesday of every month, we will have an all participants conference call. And then halfway or midway through the month, we can, since we have near 38 peer mentors from NMU and CBI, we will split them into 2 teams, and also, and we'll discuss this later, split you guys as administrators to, we'll split you guys as administrators to be responsible for your teams. We ask that if you can, please attend at least 6 of the year's participant conference meetings, and hopefully 8 of the breakaway sessions with your individual teams. If you're unable to attend a monthly all participants meeting or a breakaway session, please let the other members of your team know and ensure that a breakaway session can still occur. And I'll get more into the breakaway session in just a little bit. In our first year, we'll have 2 teams comprised of the administrators and CBI and NMU participants. And then we ask that the administrators share equal responsibility to ensure that the monthly conference calls and breakaway sessions can continue. Mention that we'll divvy up participants. For the monthly conference calls, we'll use Zoom, as you're all aware of now, and a dial-in number will be provided for those, for everyone as well, in case they want to join the meeting using their phone. When you join the monthly all participants meeting, your line will be muted so that the moderator can communicate with everyone clearly. I'm looking at the wrong camera. Hi. If you have any questions for the moderator, we can use the chat box, which I see Yummy and maybe Radna and Bastian you are acquainted with, but and maybe Jesse, it's on the corner of your screen. And the chat box window, if you need to open it, is on the bottom, sort of in the center of your screen. Okay, so everyone's lines will be muted so everyone can hear the moderator clearly. And then also we will, oh, I should mention that if video lag, if people do not have adequate bandwidth, we'll pause their video just so we can have a clearer space. And then the other platform that we'll use is Slack. We'll use Slack to share group messaging, share information both locally and internationally, and participants can use Slack to answer questions, share documents, share interesting articles, and provide peer support. So for the timeline, getting back into this, we'll have all participants meeting the first Wednesday of the month. The moderator, these should last under an hour, but the moderator will save the last 10 minutes of that hour to answer any questions that are in the Q&A box, and occasionally maybe unmute participants so we can hear them as well. Okay. So at the top for these all participants meeting, there will be a topic that will be discussed. These can range from research design, grant editing, general funding, software development, perhaps just the light touch of coding. But if you are interested in moderating a particular event, please let Emmy, Yemi, myself, or Greg know. And we'll happily arrange, and we really encourage this so that you can make this program your own, and also so that we can serve the needs of our peer mentors. During the third week of every month, we will have what are called team breakout sessions, where the moderators or the administrators will split into their two teams with the CBI and NMU and UCLA. Peer mentors. During this time, this is designed for you to have a more intimate relationship with those that you are peer mentoring with. And you will discuss the general topic on those, and these should last approximately 40 minutes or so. You can set your own time schedule with your teams. So we have a loose schedule provided on page 5 with an idea of how the all participants meetings will happen the first Wednesday of every month, barring any holidays. And if you have the national holiday, please let us know and we'll just change the schedule. And then we would leave it up to you. We suggested perhaps the first Wednesday or third Wednesday of every month, but we'll leave it up to the teams to decide when to have their own individual team group calls. And again, you'll be using Slack throughout the month to help the peer mentors and mentor each other. So right now we have this lasting about a year, and if you're not able to join a meeting, please let the other people on your team know. And if you're unable to participate any longer, which is fine, we understand. If you could just notify the team and try your best to replace yourself, just because this is dependent upon participation. So to get the ball rolling and perhaps to get everyone up to speed and comfortable with each other, there's also a administrator checklist just to offer things for your mentees. And also we will send this out to the other UCLA, CBI, and MNU participants as well, just their checklist of things that they should keep in mind when they're talking with you and throughout the year, so that we can be as supportive as possible. I hope I covered everything within the document, and please do read if you haven't had a chance to. And we have plenty of time, so this is great. I could have talked a lot slower. What we were hopeful to do today was to decide how to break each other or everyone up into two teams. We have approximately 38, if I remember correctly, from CBI and NMU. So that will be 19 people per team. And then for our
Yeah, about 12, I believe.
There's about 12
Yeah, probably more.
administrators also. And again, we're calling you all administrators. So I will leave that off here, and then guess if we can get your comments on the structure, what you think of this, what needs to be changed, or what you feel comfortable or uncomfortable with. And but perhaps we should start off with any way to break each other into teams. And I sent a link for so you could see how the field of everyone, all the participants. Hopefully you'll have a moment to see their names and focus, but everyone ranges, generally everyone's in environmental science. We have a few people in tropical forestry or chemistry, ecology, so fields and disciplines vary. But I'm not sure how everyone feels about splitting themselves into teams, if we should do it randomly, or what your thoughts are.
Yeah.
Jesse had a question.
Yeah.
Yes. Before we go ahead, okay. All right. Can everybody hear me? I think so.
There's too much feedback. Try again.
Is it better now?
It's still got a lot of feedback. Wait, Yemi, mute yours and just go off of Ashley's mic. So Ashley, unmute yours.
You can connect this to
There, don't connect it. It's way better now.
Yemi, I think you should stay closer here.
All right. Okay. I'll come over there.
I can hear you fine from there.
Oh, you can? Okay, great.
What about everybody else? I think so. All right, just one quick thing. I'm trying to mute everybody just so that we can have some, so that we don't have that similar problem. But if you want to talk, you can quickly unmute yourself down, like in the lower left corner of your screen, and then that would, and then you can talk if you want to. But yeah, Jesse, go ahead. I know you have a question.
Sure. I was just a little confused on admins versus mentors versus mentees, especially because it's a peer mentoring setup. But Yemi, I think you answered at least the admin versus mentor, which the admins are also the mentors, it sounds like, from the chat.
Oh, sure, yeah. So for we just call the administrators instead of, you originally were mentors. But since this is now a peer mentorship program, we're just, whoever's involved in planning, which is all of you guys, we're just, for nomenclature, just calling you administrators, but everyone is a peer mentor.
Okay. And then my other question, nope, you answered my other question as well. Never mind.
If you guys can hear me in America.
Hi, Bastian.
Hi.
I was wondering if a mentor, it has to mentor a student for the whole year. So you would have someone specific assigned to him as.
I think the idea was that we were going to do groups as opposed to individual mentors.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be more collaborative as opposed to individually assigned, at least to start, just testing out how to work the program a little bit better. And that was primarily based around just the people from UCLA particularly were around the same, I guess, level in education as the people that were in Africa. And so it seemed kind of weird to call ourselves mentors of those people.
Okay, this is Kevin here. I'm just trying to find out, will those groups be permanent? Because I think the group should be flexible depending on the topic. We have students from different fields, so we can't just have permanent groups. So some groups can be flexible depending on what we want to discuss, or how is that what you're thinking?
Well, that's what we we're going to discuss today. We could have groups per field that make it just a little bit tricky, but we can, or we can randomly assign maybe, you know, every odd person together. I don't know if it's possible for us to have, you know, there's going to be some crossover. They're going to be varied, a lot of varied fields, but we can try to group per discipline. I don't think it's avoidable to have some crossover.
Does that address your question, Kelvin? Kelvin, does that address the question?
Yeah, I was saying that the groups, will they be permanent groups, or you're going to make them flexible? That was the question, because I know we are supposed to split the students into two groups. So
I think the group initially would be temporary, or more like, at least for the start, and every year we can review the group and change it accordingly if you have more, you know, more administrators to group with the mentors on the other side, with the mentees on the other side. So yeah, so I think for now we just want to get this thing started off, and then with time, if there's needs to make changes, I think we will go ahead and we'll do so.
okay, makes sense.
I mean, does that sound good to you?
Sounds good. Sounds good.
She mentioned like on Slack you can see both teams anyways.
I do have a question.
We'll use Slack throughout the
Kule has a
year.
question.
Oh.
Somebody has a question. Kule, you want to go ahead, ask your question?
Yeah, okay, great. I was just curious about this idea of dividing the mentees into different institutions, because I know that is where you have a student that have signed up. Now, is this going to remain the same? Are we going to be dealing with students based on the fact that they are coming from a particular group institution where we have a group of students, or are we open to so many other students from different institutions? So why I'm saying this is that it looks as if now that we are focusing on group of students from specific institutions. What happens if we have just one or two students from another institution? Are we going to give them the same amount of concentration, or same amount of we care for them as we're going to do for, say, students from UCLA or say students from the Congo Basin Institute?
I can pick that question up. Yeah. So again, the name MNU and the Congo Basin or the Nelson Mandela, I think it's just a tag for now. Well, at the end of the day, when we do the grouping, it's not going to be about individual institution anymore. It's going to be about the individual participants within that group. So wherever the participant is coming from, would not matter at that point. What's going to matter is their individual concerns and how they relate within the group, and the administrators connect with the mentees and all that. So I think going forward, it doesn't really matter which institution you come from. Does that make sense?
Yeah, of course. I think that needs to be clarified in the structure of the program, so that we understand that we are open to any student that is willing to join, not just that we are a group of students coming from a particular institution.
Okay, and remember that the Congo Basin Institute is not a university.
Okay.
It's CBI institution, which is a conglomerate of so many universities within the Congo Basin region. So there's so many institutions within that form the CBI. So we just call it's easier to just say CBI because it brings in so many different institutions from the Congo Basin region. So it's a UCLA facility. That is a partnership organization. So there's not one university.
Raising
You want to bring it up?
If I may add, it is the same. We are a group, HION, which is Now we are at the university, but the people you met last time, they could be from different university, and yeah, we form a group which is called EON. So you don't have all the students from Nelson Mandela University, and especially the younger one. Here it's only the master and PhD in the group you met last time.
Great. Does anybody have any other comments about anything else? About splitting and how to go about it? And splitting ourselves, at least for a start, and then we can talk about how to strategy to split the mentees going forward too. Any ideas?
One question or probably one clarification. Now, are we splitting the student on the basis of the fact that we don't have enough room to accommodate all the students at once, or we are splitting them based on the fact that we want to have a more, how do I put it, a more precise interaction with individual students?
I think it's more of the latter, where, you know, it's hard to have a working relationship simultaneously with 38 people on the screen at once. So to make this more intimate and for us to actually serve people, well, the reason why we're splitting them into two groups is so that you can have a more intimate relationship with 19 people versus having 38 people on the screen at once. That doesn't really serve anyone's needs, and it's really hard to hear everyone. Does that answer?
Yeah. Why I'm asking is that to me, I think there are some activities that requires close mentorship, and there's some activities that doesn't require it. For instance, if I have to take a tutorial on how to code about Python, I can do that to 50 people at the same time, and whoever has problem can come back to me to ask questions and things like that. But if I have to mentor you as regards choosing a career path, it requires me to get to know more about your psychology, the way you think, and I can interact with you there. The concept of close mentorship comes into play. So what I'm saying in essence is that maybe we need to remodify the timetable so that we don't have a duplicate of duty. So if we can do this in a section for the 50 students at once, say for instance how to code in R or how to code in Python, then fine, we can do that at once. Then we have to discuss more things that are more that has to do with the way they think, the way they make decisions. Maybe we can narrow it down to say we want to attach 3 students to one mentor or 4 students to one mentor, but things that have to do with acquisition of skills that doesn't require close mentorship. That is the way I think. I don't know if you have a contrary opinion on that.
Just a quick clarification on one point that you mentioned there is you said if you want to, for example, give a talk about how to learn Python and other stuff, the way the section, I think it's the section about if you look at page 4, it talks about a little bit is where we're going to be having the monthly conference versus the subgroup conferencing. So for the monthly conferencing, that is where, for example, it will be easier to talk to everybody, including those that are in the individual groups, and say for general topic like coding is going to come into play. Now, if individual participants now have more additional questions, or they want to grow a little bit better in that particular course, or want to know more, or maybe they're already working on something that they need a more detailed and more focused help, they can then go to their subgroup mentors or administrators in this case, and then ask that question. So say, for example, you want to be able to take on a particular participant about how to better develop something that is beyond the general idea that was initially presented, then that's where it's going to be more a little bit better to address that kind of question in the subgroup level, as opposed to the monthly general meeting where those topics are going to be presented on a broader level.
And you'll also be able to do that over Slack, hopefully, as well. So hopefully there'll be communication on that platform, where the larger group can talk about it, and also the subgroups can talk about it, and maybe specify what they want to address in the subgroup meeting itself. Is that cool?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, but good point though. Any idea about how to subdivide ourselves or things like that? Go ahead.
I wouldn't mind it being random because when I looked at the form, it seemed like all of us have similar interests and similar needs. So I think going random won't be a big issue. Just make sure, I guess, the gender is balanced and make sure we have different universities together instead of like clumped NMU or clumped Congo Based Institute.
I agree with Emily. I hope everyone could hear her. Any other thoughts? Any other thoughts about splitting ourselves? No one? Should we do that randomly also?
Or should it be based on when people can actually meet?
We can do that too. Those are complicated, but we can do that too. Okay.
So for splitting ourselves, it seems like it would be a good idea to also try to get if it's pairs, making sure the pairs aren't at the same place in their career path. So then you have a much more varied perspective.
And also, in that light, I think if we split, we're going to split ourselves into two, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and we'll be taking the mentioned topics here, the research design, grad editing, and things like that. So, am I right?
Yes.
Okay, so I think this has to do with the skills that we have. How do we do it and things like that? So,
discuss that. That was just a tentative topics that was put there. I think we can still go into discussion up to what we're gonna be talking about, doing based on the general skills that everybody can offer.
okay, so what I'm saying in essence is that I think it also has to do with our strengths and weaknesses as mentors.
Okay.
So we need to itemize, okay, what can I do effectively? What can I do with ease and things like that? So if we can do that, then we can be able to split ourselves in the right proportion. That's the way I see it.
Okay.
Because there might be some of us, okay, let's assume this is a tentative working plan, and we have to go with this for the next few months. If some people knows how to use R, some people knows how to use MATLAB, and we don't split based on our skills, you end up having a disproportionate group whereby the guys on this side just know how to use R, knows more about writing grants and stuff like that, while the other group is lacking these skills. So I think it's good for us to make a list of the skills we have and how we can, how easy is it for us to do it, and we could make a very good division.
That's a great idea. I also think that maybe, that would be an opportune time to say what else you would like to discuss. So not only your skills, but, not everyone's going to be familiar with Python or coding, but you're well-versed in some topics, so we could have you speak about some topic too, if you can list that along with whatever your other strengths are. Does that sound like a good idea?
Yeah.
Yeah, those larger group setting ones, especially things like R or like grant writing or CV, I know UCLA has support people who actually, it's their job to teach people how to do those things. And maybe for those large whole group things, we try to coordinate with people who are adept at teaching it. And then in the breakouts is where we're really working one-on or small group style.
Good idea. Yeah, so we can always have invited guests to talk about specific topics, especially from resources that are already in the university here that we can already tap from. Bastian, do you have any ideas as to potential topics or things like that? Bastian?
Give me a second. Switching on the microphone. Sorry, what was the question?
Yeah, we were discussing how, potential topics that we're going to be talking about in the general group meeting going forward and things like that, and potentially how to subgroup, so to divide the groups. I'm just wondering if you have any comments in general as to this. Right?
Yeah, general comment from I think my feeling and from what the students say last time is there is a sort of need around computer. I know my students they have a need about how to make maps or with you about climate modeling. So I think there is a lot of room for us to learn more about softwares and modeling, and this is an expertise that I think would be great to get, in my opinion. But I don't, here there is a lot of various projects. So I was wondering if at the time the students are going to be able to share with you what they are doing or what they all have the problem of submitting the thesis, that's their main, and they are on different topic. So I was thinking before that at some stage they would have a chance to maybe show you one slide or two slides to say this is how far I am, this is the problem I have, and then we can try to look for a solution. But I can feel that we are trying to build something new, so I don't have, that was my comments for now.
I feel like the showing of individual slides is probably going to be better in subgroup meetings, where people can talk about, again, the issues that they might be having with coding or with modeling, and that discussion can happen there more easily. I think ideally in the future after this year, there might be more subgroups as opposed to just having two moving forward. I think right now it's just for ease and for figuring out the program itself, splitting into two is probably best, as opposed to splitting into, say, like 12 subgroups where there are 4 participants in each, just because we don't know the strengths and weaknesses of the program as it stands. So I think that, again, ideally in the future, that sort of thing would occur. There is also the ability to communicate via Slack. And so you can make even smaller subgroups within Slack itself if, say, people are having some sort of connection, and then, you can still email slides over, or, people are clearly able to communicate via Zoom or via some other program with each other. It doesn't have to be particularly through these meetings that occurs. This is more a means of getting in touch with people and collaborating, I think, and being able to help one another out. Does that sound all right, Bastian? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's not clear to me if it is a meeting or if it can be or if it's a course. So we're making an appointment saying on this day we're gonna have this team that's gonna be presented by one of the specialists, and whoever wants to join will be is welcome to. And in that case, it's not completely a discussion. It's someone who actually give a course. So
okay, I think I understand what your question is to an extent. So you can interrupt me if I'm not answering correctly. So just to take a step back, we're trying to structure it like a two-step layer kind of structure, so to say, like a two-step structure. So one step would be where we all meet once every month, like we're doing now, for example. There's not going to be so much time to talk about the problem of individual participants. So in doing those kind of meetings, we're just going to talk about general things that's going to benefit everybody. And for that kind of time, we potentially can invite a speaker to say something that everybody has, like for example, if majority of the participants have issues about writing in general or about grant writing or about coding, we can make priority to invite somebody that will talk about coding that is generally common, or maybe just talk about coding in general and introduce everybody to potential softwares that they can use. Now, or if it's about modeling, we can invite somebody that will talk about modeling in general, about and then all the different things that they can do with that based on their experience. But then when it comes to the individual problems or needs of each participant, each person will now go into their subgroup, because that's where there's going to be more time. And as Greg was saying, there can be more time doing that over Slack. Of course, that's where you can be talking all day, every day with your individual, your other administrators in the group. So people can always respond to your question. For example, if I have if I want to maybe make a software for doing something, and I'm already started and I'm having issues, I can put it on my Slack subgroup and say, hey, anybody here have any idea how to do this? And then people can start responding, and then we can start. I can start getting help from that. Now, every month also there's going to be a subgroup meeting, and that's where the subgroup can address all these individual problems that maybe discussions that has been going on already on Slack or on other means by email, and then they can come together and say, okay, we've been talking about this every week up until now. These are the things that we're going to do. Maybe we can have a little bit of so maybe a coordinated way to kind of address that problem together. So this subgroup is going to be tailored still on trying to address the individual problem of those participants. And like we call it in the document, it's going to be a peer mentorship kind of situation. So even people here can also benefit from participants over there. If there are going to be students over there that probably are better in some other software that some people here are not, they don't really know, and they can ask those questions, and maybe a little bit of help over there wouldn't hurt. So that's kind of like the layer. So there's going to be an educative layer to it, and there's going to be more of individual needs, meeting individual needs layer to it. Does that make sense to you now? In terms of the structure?
Yeah, it's becoming a little bit clearer, but I think we don't have complete solution. I think that's why it's fun.
Can I assist with? Yeah, I mean, I think the thing that you're asking for, I think isn't really attainable with 38 mentors, right? I mean, if each of us is going to present our individual projects and get feedback on our individual projects in the course of a 1 hour meeting once a month or 2 1 hour meetings once a month, I think that that's not really viable. With everybody in the group being involved. So I think that what we're trying to do is we're trying to structure it in a way that we can address those things that are viable for a large group, and then break it down little by little, so that everybody can get as much out of this as possible. I do agree with you that it doesn't necessarily resolve what you're bringing up, but it's the best that we can do given the circumstances that we have, which is we're across continents, across oceans rather, or both, and there are many people involved in this program. Does that make sense? Like, do you see some sort of resolution to this problem that, like, I'm not grasping at right now?
I have an idea.
Cool.
So similar to like GSA and AGU's digital poster presentations, where you film yourself giving your presentation and then you put it up, like we could have it put up on YouTube and then use YouTube commenting for people to give feedback. So you put it up, and then throughout the month, people are giving you feedback, not necessarily all at once, but in a distributed way. And then the conversation could be had in the breakout session of like, all right, 6 people gave presentations, we gave them sort of feedback, and then we can talk about it and have the discussion portion then when everyone had watched the presentations before going to the discussion.
Good point. This is where we think the Slack. This is where we think the Slack is going to be really important, so that at that level, like you said, somebody can post up their presentations or post up the documents that they're working on, and they want some comments on editing or rewriting some part of it, and that way people can look at that document, read it and see potential problems or potential critique or potential comments, and then put that comment in the Slack section where everybody else can see it and comment again, and that would be kind of like the feedback. But it's not going to be happening at that 1 hour meeting that we're going to be having. It's going to be happening at the other time of the day where people can look at those projects individually, but it's going to be over that Slack, and that's why we're trying to stress that Slack as potential way for us to address things that Bastian, for example, is bringing up. So it's going to be these segments where, the platform where it's going to be easier to deal with individual problems, because people can easily post any document or presentations or talk about softwares that they want to know more about or things like that.
Yeah, that makes sense. I was just thinking like YouTube or another video hosting platform would be a good way for the presentation specifically.
Yeah, definitely.
Is that something that could be used in South Africa easily? YouTube posting up videos, Bastian?
I believe we never met too many movies of ourselves. We only just starting, but I'm sure it's we can get there. My what I had in mind is it's how do you gonna get the student to meet you, especially if they are split. Then you're gonna split the chance of having a full number. I mean, I know that not everyone's going to be able to attend every session that you plan, and therefore you may have a mix. And so I'm not sure on our side it would benefit if you split the people that were around the table into 2 and ask them to come at 2 different times.
You could share recording for people who weren't there.
Yeah. So one answer to that is that we going forward, we're going to be recording this kind of meeting where people are going to be even within the subgroup, there's going to be recording, and we can potentially post the recording up online where we can share with everybody else so that they can hear what was talked about and things like that. That's number one. Number two, for say participants that may not be able to attend, because of maybe they're not in a stable location to be able to participate, but would still like to have their voices heard. There's always going to be chances for them. For example, also we can have a channel on Slack where there can be that kind of discussions, and they can post questions beforehand, so that people can talk about it and address it, and they can listen to the recordings later on and then hear what was talked about or things like that. Does that address your question? The idea here is that there's going to be a very big use for Slack platform, where a lot of the talking and a lot of the problem solving is going to be going on, while the general meeting platform, like Zoom in this case, is going to be where we kind of like we strategize, we coordinate, and put a lead on the big topic ideas. Make sense?
Yeah. It would have been great if everything would have been integrated in one website, that you have your website, Science Without Border. You can click to get to your meeting, and you can...
okay, we're going to be working on that. That's where we're beginning. This is like, the baby step forward, but that's definitely something that we're going to be looking to hopefully have a website link that people can easily go to and then all this information will be there, and then they can have links to go whether to Slack or to all those things. Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, but it's going to be a.
So for me, there are new tools. Zoom, I never used it before. Slack, I registered, but I never used it before. And I think for many of us here, it would be, I think they would feel a bit like me. This is new. We have to get into it, and it's
I agree with you.
Forward for us.
Yeah. And hopefully we can also have somebody talk about even using Slack in one of our subsequent meetings, which might be one of the things that we can do. I mean, by and large, it's just like WhatsApp, only that it's it has a little bit extra layer to it, and that's what makes it more sophisticated. But and useful in this case. But yeah, I agree with you. Integrated platform would be nice, but it's much harder to do.
Well, I mean, this is also why we have administrators, right? I mean, at each of the schools or the institute, who can help people out in person with these sorts of things as well. So, I mean, you now have used Slack, you now have used Zoom. You're available, I'm assuming, to some degree, to the people that are at the university to help them out. So, I mean, yeah, we'll try to get together a website as well, but I mean, it's also on us to actually lead people towards the right direction in using these tools as well at our university level.
Well, now every student needs to install on his computer, on his cell phone, Zoom and Slack, and so that they can. So everyone is autonomous, and we don't have to depend on meeting on the camera only when we have decided we're gonna have a whole meeting. It needs to be clear that everyone gonna get as much they put effort in, and everyone is autonomous.
Autonomous?
Yeah. Right.
Everyone's autonomous.
Did you say autonomous? I didn't hear the last word.
Everyone is accessing the meeting or the Slack by himself, and it does not depend on the group meeting or the one camera or the one room. But
yes. So that's a good point. For example, one of the things that we saw, what we did before this meeting, if you saw the email, was to provide an easy, accessible number, a phone number for people in South Africa, for example. So, for example, for people that may not necessarily want to come to a place where there's generic camera and for the Zoom meeting, they can access it by phone. Like, for example, Kevin is doing right now. He's on the phone, and he's been able to listen to everything that we're talking about. And the same thing can also apply for individual students. They're going to be able to have the link to be able to do it on their own computer or from their own phone as well as the Slack. I think you can also do it directly from the website without necessarily downloading the software. But of course, you can also download the software on your computer or on your phone and be able to, to send out questions or address everybody else individually without being, in the place where you are right now, for example.
I have a comment.
Yes.
Okay, I already discussed with you, Yemi, as regard this website of a thing, and I know people have already mentioned it today, but I just want to re-emphasize it that having a website is key towards spreading the objectives of this group and also trying to make the life of the mentees easy to follow. In the sense that if we have a website, we can detail out the objective of this group. We can provide information as to how to get the Slack, as to how to get the Zoom, and that could be like a platform to remind them of the objective of this group, what they've signed up for, and what they're going to get. And it's going to make all this information in one place. So, and I think nowadays, getting a website, designing a website is not very difficult. So I think we should make it one of our priorities to make a website for this group, to register this group online, such that if any mentee wants to refer his or her friend to this group, it's very easy. Just copy the link, you send it, and you have all the information together. You have all the report of these meetings together and things like that. And it's also going to be easy for us as mentors to try to say, okay, come and join my group. You can be a mentor in my group. And what do? I just send you that link and you have all this information. And I know everybody seated here in this meeting actually understand this, but I think we need to make it a priority before even moving forward. We need to try to come together, design a website, and this student can also go there to see the profiles of the mentors and say, okay, which one can I connect to, and things like that. So it's going to go a long way in trying to make all the administrative issues much easier for us. We can document how to get Slack, we can document how to get Zoom and things like that. And we wouldn't have to repeat ourselves every meeting or every email we send and things like that.
You make a really great point. Yeah, life is going to be much easier with the website. I agree with you. Like I said earlier, I think we'll work towards it. Of course, it's going to take a little bit more time. But of course, before we can get to the point of having a website, there has to be some kind of structure, right? We need to have some kind of ways where we're going to, what we're going to do, how we're going to do things, and all those things put together. Because that's what's going to make a better website. So that's what we're trying. That's the stage where we are right now, having a better defined structure, and all this information that we're talking about right now is going to be what's going to go into that making of a website. But I agree with you, we're going to do that, but it's going to take some time. Because you're going to need personnel, some people to actually put those informations together and then put the time into trying to make it, together. Of course, when we get to that stage, we're going to be needing the help of everybody on this platform as well, in terms of putting information and giving a helping hand along the way. But yes, I agree with you. It's going to be something that we're going to have to think seriously about.
And I also have
so what?
You can go ahead.
That we are almost running out of time. So what are the next steps? What's the way forward?
Okay. I wanted to comment on one of the possible things that we can do, and this is this idea of trying to mentor the students on the concept of reproducible research. I think is very key. How to engage in reproducible research, not just writing code, everything that has to do with conducting your research activity and things like that. So I think it's going to be good if we include it in one of the things we're going to be discussing in our breakout section.
In there, and then this is where we have you all, whoever you would like to present.
I can't hear you. Sorry, I didn't hear.
Yes, absolutely. But this is where we would also turn to you all. If there's a particular topic that you think is very important, we invite you to be the moderator for that month's call. We're all in this together. So if you have a specialist that you would like to introduce, by all means, this is something that we're all creating together. So if you have an idea, suggest it and we'll do it.
Yeah, sure.
Via Slack.
Yeah, and then also, yeah, like you could also do that via Slack. We'll have many different avenues where we can have different topics.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
So we're running out of time.
Yeah, we're running out of time. I think you mentioned something briefly. Kelvin?
Yeah?
Yeah, I did. Can you repeat what you said earlier? I'm sorry.
I said now we are 10 o'clock, so we should just talk on next steps now because we have to run for another meeting.
Yeah.
So.
The first one on Wednesday, the first Wednesday in June?
Yeah.
Or not?
We will be sending out time for our next meeting, our next general meeting.
It sounds like we probably need to work a little bit more on structuring things. Giving people a website is probably the ideal phase. So probably the next meeting should be just us again. I know that there's another meeting tomorrow, actually, discussing these same topics. So we'll get ideas from both of those meetings and then send out an email about what the next steps are.
Okay.
It does sound as though there's a great push for making it easily accessible for all participants. Probably having a website would be best. I personally don't know how to do that. I'm not sure if anybody in this room knows how to do that well. So we need you or somebody from the meeting tomorrow to kind of move on that. Yeah, I think probably moving forward, making a website and getting down exactly what we're going to be doing. So we'll send out an email within the next 2 weeks about that. Sound cool?
Any other comments?
Jesse.
Any other comments from anybody else?
Oh.
Taking the time.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.